Because, folks, we're going to enter just kind of the catharsis part of stream today. We're going to be watching Senator Chuck Grassley's town hall that he held in Iowa the other day, and we're going to be enjoying some catharsis. Have you ever wanted to see people yell at an old man? Because I sure have, covering politics. I want that all the time. And, you know, I think that in order to kind of buoy our hopes, our dreams, and our ambitions, we should inundate ourselves with the visual and audio stimuli necessary to envision our dream scenarios. So I'm going to be right back in like a minute or so. And when I do, we're going to get started with that Chuck Grassley town hall. And folks... We've got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. It's going to be a long stream. So don't you guys go anywhere.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Thank you all for coming. This microphone's up for you. Oh, okay. Well, I usually don't use a microphone.
Keep in mind, this is in Iowa. This is in, you know, the heartland of America. This is a lot of people. They have standing room only.
But if I have to use a microphone, I'll be glad to use a microphone. Thank you all for turning out. In the spirit of representative government, I consider myself half of that process, and my 3 3/10 million constituents the other half of that process. And in order to represent people in
This is in Franklin County, Mr. Malachite.
Dialogue with your constituents. This is the best way to do it. But if this is the only way that it was done, I wouldn't communicate with very many people. So I rely upon all of you and people that aren't here to email us or use postal mail or
Oh, man. You know, I do want to see him get yelled at. That part of me has not changed. But the fact that he calls it postal mail is that's adorably old. That's adorably elderly. I'm kind of here for it. But I'm really looking forward to him getting yelled at.
Use the telephone. Remember, if you leave your name and address, we'll answer your point of view on paper and things like that. Now, this is the first meeting today. I go from here to Clarion, and then to Humboldt, and then to Fort Dodge. And then tomorrow morning, I go back to Washington, D.C. If you wonder what I'm doing here on a Friday, most weekdays I'm in Washington, D.C., but the Senate's not in session, so you know I'm not.
Oh, Thistles Fries, thank you for the $10 dono.
We held an empty chair town hall for a local Dem who wasn't meeting with constituents today. Over 100 attendees. People wrote letters to the rep, and answered the survey we made, and got up and told stories.
That is wonderful, Thistles for Eyes. Do you mind sharing who the local Dem was? That's wonderful. If it's too local, don't feel any pressure. But like, there is such a power in taking control of a narrative. You know, politicians hate that. The fact that you guys did that is so powerful. You guys are taking power back for the people. Damn, Trump won this county by 40 points. Yeah, guys. There is something happening in the heart of America, and it is something that our political institutions are completely and utterly incapable of handling, which is good, because also our political institutions are completely and utterly incapable of handling the rise of fascism. So we need two opposing forces to destroy this fascist regime. Socialism is not a crime. Thank you for the 200 biddies. What you do is important and helps me stay motivated for my girls. I appreciate your activism and lighting a fire under us. Hell yeah, socialism is not a crime. Let's go. Here we go.
Not playing hooky from my job there. I'm going to, since we have such a large crowd, I'm going to take one question from each person and try to cover as many questions as I can. And I'll try to give a short
Damn, dude, you taking one question from each person? You're gonna be here all night?
of an answer as I can, so I can get to as many questions. And some of you may come not to ask questions, but just to tell me what's on your mind. And that's perfectly all right.
I'm suggesting we build up a mass political movement and stop fascism from killing us all. Yeah.
I'll be glad to listen to you and say thank you, and then move on to the next person. I thought maybe I would say to you, I'm going to be with you for an hour, and then I'm going to go to the small room back here, and we've got a lot of press and media here. And I always reserve 15 minutes before I move on to Clarion or the next stop for advantage for the press to ask me questions, get messages out that they want to get out that they consider very important.
Yeah, keep in mind, the working class is not homogenous ideologically. I'm a socialist. I believe in workers' rights for everyone, regardless of what their political affiliation is. And similarly, Medicare for all does not discriminate between Republican and Democrat. It is for all. And similarly, I think in order to build the solidarity we need for those two things, we need to build solidarity against fascists. And in doing so, we win more people to our cause, and we de-radicalize people from conservative ideologies into progressive ones. You know, no one stays stagnant politically. Everyone changes, and everyone can change.
And then I would just take a few minutes to tell you some of the things that I'm trying to pursue in Washington, D.C. I'm just going to mention two things so I don't take time away from your question.
Yeah, the Michael Brooks approach. Hate systems, not people.
One would be finally, hopefully, get a 5-year farm bill, because we were supposed to do that in 23, didn't get done, so the 2018 5-year farm bill is turning out to be a 7-year farm bill, and I think farmers...
And yet, just because everyone can change doesn't mean everyone will, but anyone who can and does, I think there's room for them among us. You know, like, I used to be a evangelical Christian conservative, guys. I changed for the better in a lot of different ways. You know, people change. Well, yes, you can still hate agents of oppressive systems, but voters are not necessarily the same thing as politicians.
Some certainty from that, and I hope we can get it done. I think we're about 18 months ahead of the last Congress, because we have a bill from the last Congress out of the House of Representatives that was a very bipartisan bill. And then we have a Democrat framework and a Senate Republican framework. So we're about 18 months ahead of where we were 2 years ago and didn't get the job done. And then the other one...
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to skip this preamble where he's just...
What they do, get that the agenda...
Including a youthful...
Okay.
The Federal Department of Education was created in 1979 by Congress, including a youthful Iowa representative, Chuck Grassley. Do you now support an all-out siege and dismantling by the Runamuk MAGA administration?
Oh my God. Oh my God. First question, that sweet older woman with the trembling voice. I love her. I love her. First one into the breach. Let's go.
If it comes to a vote in the Congress of the United States, which it will probably not come for a vote, so
You know the Constitution?
Because you got.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We're 5 minutes in. They asked a question 30 seconds ago, and they're already yelling at him about the Constitution. Oh, buckle in, folks. Buckle in.
Got 6.6 million from Elon.
You swore an oath to us.
I'm answering this person's question.
We'll answer it.
Well, why wouldn't it come to a vote?
She speaks for a lot of us.
Okay? I'm the only member.
I've never seen anything like this. Like, I know I've kept saying this about these town halls, but like this is Iowa, chat. Holy shit.
Of Congress out of 535 today.
Guys, it's not just him who's boned. It's like the entire GOP is boned. They have all hung their hats on Donald Trump, and they have sat back and let Elon Musk, assault our country, our institutions, the things these people rely on, and they're aware of it. That's the thing that's shocking to this guy, that these people are actually aware of what's happening and care enough to show up like this. I don't think anyone's ever showed up like this to a town hall with Chuck Grassley. I don't know that anyone's ever shown up like this. This is new territory.
That voted against establishing the Department of Education, September 1979. So
Stuff like this is giving me hope and helping me out of my oppressive slum.
Not spelled out the Constitution.
One-eyed heathen, good. And thank you for the $10 super chat.
And I think with 50 different states, with our country so geographically vast and our population so heterogeneous, that the best education policy is made at the local and state level. So that's why I voted against it. Now, so obviously, if it's not going to come to a vote in the United States Senate because it can't get 60 votes in the United States Senate to get to repealing it. So, but if it did come to a vote, obviously I would have the same opinion now that I had in 1979.
Oh, wow.
And it's got nothing to do with the,
Dog, this is Iowa. This is in a district that went 40 points to Trump. They're booing him after his answer to the first question. Watching these makes me feel excited. It is not enough to watch the clips. It is not enough to watch a 1 minute long TikTok clip that gets embedded into an NBC article. It's not enough to watch like a 2 minute long thing uploaded to Blue Sky. It's not enough. These are old people. These are the demographic that is supposed to be most in tune with Chuck Grassley. These are supposed to be his people. I didn't know right-wingers like the Department of Education. They like their schools being funded. They like that.
Not near as good as this.
it's got nothing to do with the programs. So let's go to the programs that you might be concerned about that would be affected if the Department of Education is going to happen to it. What Trump said yesterday is going to happen to it. It can't affect the guaranteed student loans. It can't affect the Pell Grants. It can't affect the special education programs we have. It can't help the hurt the education programs we have for low-income
It literally can affect all of those things.
people, because they're the law of the land, and the Congress of the United States is going to continue to
Wait a minute.
Get off your hands and vote.
Isn't the Department of Education the law of the land?
Yeah.
Dog, he's cooked. They're done. He's been asked 2 questions. Isn't the Department of Education the law of the land? And he's done.
Republican Party, let him talk.
Okay. So then, just in case you're wondering, will those programs go away with what Trump's doing? The answer is no. And he has said that because they're the law. They are the law. And,
You know, I will just point out one thing here. There are definitely still conservatives in this room, but not a single goddamn one of them is wearing a red hat. In Iowa, in a district that went to Trump by 40 points. I think this guy is not. This hat isn't that hat is not a MAGA hat, as far as I can tell.
just as an example.
You can't say law for him and not law for us. You can't
So I
do
think
that.
we need to talk about the rule of law.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
nobody trusts that Trump will
Wait,
actually follow the rules. So I have a question.
How about the quorum?
You can ask your question.
Okay, so I don't feel that Trump is actually, I mean, so rule of law, the judicial system, right, we have a separation of powers. The judiciary decides what the law is based on their interpretations of what you've written, right?
Honestly, I think the
So,
only reason he's doing
how
this
is it
town
that
hall is
then
because
when
he's
judges
announcing
make-
his retirement in 2027 if he makes it that far. He's 91 years old right now.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. For 91 years old, he's doing pretty good. It makes me feel a bit worse that he's being yelled at by all these people, just on a humanitarian level, but also they should yell at him even harder. If he tries to do another one of these town halls, he might actually die. Like, dog. You should have you should have retired 30 years ago and just like become a lobbyist and like, I don't know, lived on a beach somewhere.
Make decisions that all Trump does is say, oh, they should be impeached, you know, and he is making us afraid to stand up for our own rights because we're going to then be sent to El Salvador into a high security.
And he is right.
A high security slave concentration camp. One thing people have not mentioned about this El Salvador camp that people are being sent to, and I do want to do a much longer segment, just kind of walking through the order of events leading up to those deportations and the legal steps and like back and forth that has been happening on this. But like, to be perfectly clear, El Salvador is under the rule of a dictator named Bukele, and he has a program in place for this particular prison that people are being deported to without trial, without due process, without anything like that. And the policy for that prison is mandated forced labor, i.e., if you go into that prison, you are a slave. You are going to be worked. And you have no choice about that. And that is putting aside all of the other concerns about the fact that prisons like that one are where gangs like Tren de Aragua originated. Like, these prisons are where the gangs get their starts and build up their power. So it's a slave camp run by crime lords. And it is, I mean, we're selling people. We are engaging in a slave trade with these deportations. Okay? So, just to be clear, it's not even just, oh man, if we stand up for our rights, we could be deported. It's deported to a slave concentration camp. Sold. And yeah, socialism is not a crime. MS-13 is an American gang formed by deported Salvadorians. Yeah.
And we're gonna follow his law?
Judges' rulings should be abided by.
That's not what you said.
Judges' rulings should be abided by. And I read statements in the newspaper that Trump was going to do the same thing, but he was going to appeal. And so
And how much does that cost us?
there's 100.
How much does that cost us?
And how much will it cost us to bail the farmers out?
Can I just say, as someone from the neighboring state of Minnesota, do you have any idea how much you have to piss off people from Iowa to get them to yell at you like this? Do you have any idea? These are people who will like just swallow their anger towards their family members for 40 years before they say anything about a slight that happened decades ago, you know? That's what these kinds of people are like. That's what people in my family are like, you know? And I'm, as someone from the Midwest, I'm shocked to see this. It hits me in a way that, like, the previous town hall we covered didn't quite hit. I'm thrown. Oh, Jem, every single one of these town halls is being clipped as its own segment. We put up the Washington one that we covered the other day, earlier today. I'm going to be posting one of them every day as we do them.
Let him answer.
Well, we are. Who are you?
He's had 66 years in office.
There's 120.
We have a right to talk.
Hey, I got the same right you do. Let him
Now keep
answer.
it going. You sound like a-
There's 127 cases filed
He does.
compared to about a dozen with previous questions. So what you learned in 8th grade civics, the checks and balances of the government are going to continue to work. That's the
It's not working.
Who was not appointed by anything with the advice and consent of the
You can bring
Senate.
every one of us down. Have you seen us?
Access to our personal data.
Yeah. Why didn't you join everybody?
Into everything that, you know, he hasn't even been vetted for anything. In fact, he's still a citizen of not only the US, but of Canada and South Africa. I mean, why is he the #1 person that is just going through and overhauling everything by cutting everything?
Yo, this woman's a hero.
Congress allowing that?
Seems to
Pays
me,
no taxes.
it seems to me that what you're seeing going on today is what I've heard 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
Wow. This is not Republican, Democrat. This is about us, the
I'm
people.
talking to you.
You're here to talk to all of
I said, I think that they're following what I saw 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
Which is too long.
1994.
That was
Clinton
Fuck, man. I mean, she's right. You've been in the Senate for 66 goddamn years. You've been in the Senate longer than most people's grandparents have been alive. Damn.
Came to the Congress of the United States, and he said, as a result of the 1994 election, the era of big government is over. And then in 2011, I heard President Obama give a speech that we got to get rid of the waste, fraud, abuse in government. We can't tolerate it. So that's what's happening again.
Yeah, that's fine. Why are we having an unelected citizen of like two other countries have access to all of our state secrets and also have seemingly unilateral authority to slash any department he likes and any access to any information in our government that he likes? Don't bullshit us, Chuck. We know this is unprecedented. You know these people would not show up if it wasn't unprecedented.
Not just fraud. Everyone's okay with fraud, but you find fraud by actually looking for it. You don't find it by just saying.
Guys, we're 12 minutes into this. He has like another 40 minutes to go.
Okay, I'm going to cut off your funding. You can't. That's no way of finding fraud.
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
Security fraud done by doctors and nurses who file fraudulent claims against, Medicaid, right? So why are we going after them? Why are we actually cutting the access to the, money that the people need? Why are you assuming that people who are receiving benefits are in the wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Again, addressing you. Give you an example of $20 million in the Defense Department that since Trump's been president, and I asked him to do away with the Agency of National Assessment, which is supposed to assess annually the needs of our national security, and they haven't been doing it since 2013, but they've been assuming $20 million. They announced that they were going to do away with the agency.
Yeah, I'm going to need some receipts on that one, Chuck. I'm going to need some receipts to show that there was a government agency getting $20 million per year that just sat doing nothing for the past 8 years. Oh, sorry. Since 2013. That's actually the last 12 years. Who was getting that? Here's the thing. The thing about waste, fraud, and abuse, right, is that what you're alleging are crimes. What you're alleging are criminal actions. So where's the department head that was defrauding the government out of $20 million every year for 13 years? Sorry, not 13 years, 12 years. Where are the criminals? Charge them if this is actually real. And it's kind of telling where your head's at, Chuck, and how full of shit these Republicans are, that what's happening is entire U.S. departments are being destroyed. Things that leverage billions of dollars, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. And the first and only example he can think of is, one org in the Defense Department that was getting $20 million, and he's going to provide no citations whatsoever. With allegations that would, if true, have led to someone being thrown in jail. You see, Jack, it was a 300-year-old vampire doing it. I see, Pork Chop Express. Also, excellent username. I always appreciate a good Big Trouble in Little China reference. And also, yes, Vlad Tepes was indeed behind the... the joke actually falls flat, a bit flatter when you realize that Elon Musk literally thinks that seniors who draw Social Security checks are vampires. He calls them that. So, I'm sad again.
of national assessment within the Department of Defense. I think I ought to go on to other people now.
In the back?
Senator, may I ask a question? Senator?
Yeah, obviously the Senate and the House has the power of oversight of the government, of the president and people in his administration. It seems to me that Trump and his people are moving very rapidly toward a dictatorship and an oligarchy.
Doug. Real quick. Can we actually zoom? I don't think there's any way to zoom in. I want to zoom in on this guy's face because, like, that is a guy who votes Republican. I am loving seeing people of a demographic that usually is not aligned come forward and tell Republicans to their faces, hey, we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing, you fascist fuck. People are getting angry. I like it. It's empowering. They're clapping for him.
That's a very, very serious matter. Our country is in serious jeopardy, it seems to me, cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and a whole lot of other programs, even though they deny they're going to do it. And firing people at will and just randomly isn't solving anything.
Right, that's right.
Statistics,
you
gotta know what those numbers represent.
But my question is, what are you doing regarding oversight? All the concerns, but I've not heard anything from you or any of the Republicans in the Senate or the House for that matter. And so you have the power of oversight. So the courts are doing their job and doing it really well to rein in Trump and others. But we need to have the Senate and the House also providing oversight. And so it is your job, obviously, which you've been doing for decades. You know it's your job, but we are depending on you and the others to help save democracy.
You speak up.
I might cry.
Address your question. I think
I might actually cry. This is kind of restoring some of my faith in humanity, unironically.
I gave you one example of $20 million in the Department of Defense. I think I've got another thing. I've got an investigative staff on, and we've got 33 investigations going in. So I'd have to have you. I can't give you all 33 of those investigations.
Give us one.
But well, one of them would be the waste in the EPA, isn't it?
This, Josh, not only is this Iowa, this is in a district of Iowa that went to Trump by 40 points. It is a deeply red part of Iowa.
Example.
What you just said, 20 minutes ago.
Democracy, the waste in the EPA. I mean, what are you going to do and what are you doing to save democracy? This is...
That's right.
And in fact, as I've written you before and emailed you, and you've always responded, and I appreciate that, and I honor you for that.
Yes. Yes.
I think I'm frustrated because of that civics lesson you talked about. That we have 3 branches of government that run this country and determine our policy on the big issues. Are we going to turn Canada into the 51st state? Are we going to take over the Great Lakes? are going to impose tariffs throughout the world and hurt our Iowa manufacturers who happen to sell $5 billion every year of farm equipment, road equipment to the Canadians.
Used to.
If you look at Gomaco from Ida Grove, Iowa, they have 5 locations in Canada to sell pavement equipment.
Not anymore.
Together with Pella Windows, together with Vermeer, who has a dozen. And my question, sir, and I think what's on our mind here, is where is Congress?
Yes.
Oh. Guys, I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills. Do you hear the people fucking sing? Singing the song of angry men. Look at this guy. This right here, this is a gesture of the utmost respect. Because guys, like $5 billion in Iowa is huge. And these people rely on international trade for crops, for machinery, for everything. And they need the EPA to keep their farms open, to keep their environment livable. They know. And these people are already being hit by these tariffs, you know? These people are already being hit by these tariffs. And they're mad as hell. And, like, man, we're 2 months in. We are 2 months in, okay? I'm saving this screen so I can put it as a thumbnail for the video. But guys, we're 2 months in. Imagine where we are going to be. Imagine where we're going to be 2 more months from now. And two more months after that. And 2 more months after that on the eve of a new budget being voted on. A budget that is going to cut these people's health care, their Medicaid, is actually going to seriously try and cut Social Security. Like 2 months from now, I said this yesterday when we were talking about the earlier town hall in Wyoming, but like next time they have a town hall here, like these people are going to show up with pitchforks and torches. Like 2 months from now, pitchforks and torches. 2 months after that, who the fuck knows? When I talk about this being the cool zone, this is what I mean. Like, a lot of really bad things are happening, but people are also being radicalized toward much better positions and much more productive action in ways you never would have thought possible. And right now, it is ice cold in Iowa.
There's only one president. It's 535 to 1. When does Congress act? When does your committee and the Judiciary Committee send a subpoena to Elon Musk?
That's right.
You can do your job because nobody knows in this country what the hell is going on with Mr. Musk and how he is apparently have his own agenda, in my view, to ruin the country. When does he tell you?
To you, Article 2 of the Constitution says that the executive power.
These people are going to beat his ass over what Article 1 of the Constitution says. You'll never believe why they keep skipping over Article 1 and talking about Article 2. It's crazy. All of these goddamn people in the Republican Party parroting this Article 2 bullshit. Sorry, there is a numerical order there. It goes Article 1. The article that elaborates on the powers of different parts of government.
Of the federal government is vested in the President of the United States. Truman wanted to make that.
We don't care about him.
Truman wanted to make that such a strong statement.
We don't care about him.
He had a
Fuck Truman.
sign on his desk says the buck stops here.
It goes
So
to his pocket.
everything that goes on in the executive branch of the government is a total responsibility of Trump and the people that he has appointed and be confirmed by the United States Senate.
Congress for? If he can do everything by executive power.
And they made very clear 2 weeks ago at a cabinet meeting that only the cabinet members could carry out any decisions that Trump wanted to carry out.
That's not happening.
Elon Musk.
That's not happening.
And so remember, the buck stops in the Oval Office.
That's awfully convenient for you, the guy passing the buck along to the Oval Office, huh?
Thank you for taking my question.
I won't be able to take all the questions, but I'm going to take as many as I can.
Senator Grassley, as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee during President Trump's 2 impeachment trials, in spite of overwhelming evidence, you voted twice to acquit him. Since taking office for a second term, he is dismantling our government, as many people here have been talking about and are concerned about. And that's in violation of our laws.
My bad.
Congress has created,
I'm updating the soundboard.
and in violation of the Constitution. My question to you is, why do you believe that President Trump is above the law? And I'll just reinforce what other people have been saying here. Why have you not spoken out for it?
Yeah.
We are job.
People are aroused.
With our votes. We have sent you to Congress for decades. We expect you to follow through for what we Iowans really want our government to do, and not to have a federal government that is being dismantled by this President Trump and Elon Musk. Please stand up for what's right and do your jobs.
Yeah.
This guy wore a suit to this, so you know this guy wore a suit and talks about putting Chuck Grassley in as senator. You know this guy's a goddamn Republican. Is that Vivian? Yeah, I was looking up the link to her Vogue piece earlier when Paladin Lost was talking.
Your statement gives me a wonderful opportunity to explain to you that constantly, every time I go from my office to the Senate floor, there's journalists not by the dozens, but by a couple dozen, that are there to ask me questions all the time. And I take time to answer their questions. And I never see anything in print that I ever say to them. So I have to assume that you don't get a chance unless you do a vast amount of reading, that you'd ever see anything that I say to the journalists in Washington, D.C. So this is why on a weekend I put out something on my website called The Scoop that carries all the things that I have said or speeches I give on the floor of the United States Senate or press releases, because I can't count on the news media to tell you the things that I say. To make sure that I communicate to Iowans, I do 5 things every week, and then some things I do once a month.
You know, it's really crazy how none of this has anything to do with the question this guy asked, and you can tell he's absolutely furious because he's still standing up and maintaining eye contact.
With the small radio stations of Iowa, with the Des Moines Register, the Cedar Rapids Gazette, other newspapers, Radio Iowa, and also for agriculture, as many as agriculture journalists that want to ask me questions. So I try to make myself very, very available to the journalists. But if you don't read about it and know what's going on, I put it out so you can read it the best way I know to put it out.
Sir, I do read The Scoop. You send it to me frequently in an email. But I'm going to repeat the question to you. Why do you feel that President Trump is above the law?
He's not above the law.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
Okay, you know, when you first were elected, you were pretty independent.
Yeah.
That was decades ago.
It is awesome.
Number 2, it seems like you've become a very good foot soldier for the right wing and dominant.
Yeah.
Dog, they're calling him a fucking bootlicker in the heart of Iowa. This old man is standing up and calling him a goddamn foot soldier.
I didn't serve, but we are a military family. My dad served in the Pacific and tromped through the jungle for 4 years. Come home with jungle rot in his feet the rest of his life. Okay? And then Trump cuts the veteran administration. Wow. Really?
Right.
And you stand by and you say and do nothing. Sick of it.
We want you back. We want you back to the Grassley world.
Trump, he seems to have a love fest with Mr. Putin.
Oh, yeah. That's
and
what
his attitude is, Trump's attitude is basically, oh, let's put them tariffs on. To hell with Canada and Mexico and the Ukraine.
Someone's holding up a sign that says Vladimir Putin is not your constituent. This guy, like, people are angry, guys. This is wonderful. This is great news for us.
And the European Union.
That's right.
Really? Those countries fought and died with us in World War II and many other wars. And you stand by and you say and do nothing. I'm sick of it.
Me too.
And
he's literally trembling with rage.
Doesn't matter what party you are.
enjoy seeing this country ripped apart. I grew up during Vietnam. It's deja vu for me, what's going on today. Why don't you do something? Why don't you stand up and say, enough is enough?
You fought for us. Thank you. Now you fight for us.
That's right. You want to fight, and the Democrats, I'm one. You know, Trump said we're the enemy within. Really? You say nothing.
Me? That means us. We're the enemy, right?
But
What is that?
he has a love fest with Putin.
Yeah. They have something going on. You need to watch
And
that.
you do something, sir. You wanted to fight, you're gonna get it.
That's right.
Does the buck stop with Charles Grassley?
Dog. Did I mishear, or did he say he's a Democrat? He did say he's a Democrat. But, like, believe it or not, there are Democrats in Iowa, guys. But, like, this kind of anger is gonna grow. And, like, if Democrats are this angry, it does mean that Republicans are also quite angry. And it kind of speaks to how angry people are, that there is no one else in that room who is standing up and defending Chuck Grassley. No constituents showed up who vote Republican and were willing to stand up for Chuck Grassley.
Us in the military are suckers and losers.
I want to respond to what he said, because he spoke about my adherence to some sort of right-wing philosophy, whatever that is.
You're literally a Republican, sir.
So I want to tell you, just last Thursday, a bill passed the United States Senate, 86-12, that I sponsored and that I got out. If you don't work in the bipartisan way, nothing gets done in the United States Senate. And so you don't have to take my word for it. I want to have all of you go to the Georgetown University website and click on Senator Lugar's center. They do an annual survey of people working in a bipartisan way, and you'll find me in the top 12 of people working in a bipartisan way, which I think refutes what he said about my being just a right-winger.
You're a right-winger.
Senator, next in your flag cow.
Yeah, I mean, like, are you kidding me? He's 91 years old. He's not gonna go do like a dozen of these. His heart's gonna give out.
Go ahead, sir. Say what? If you weren't done, repeat what you just said. I didn't hear it.
I'm done.
Okay.
Senator behind you.
See, how about you way in the back?
I want to first of all say that I have a background that includes having been on the congressional staff in the state of Iowa for 10.5 years. I worked for Social Security for another 20 years. I've been retired now for a while. I am very, very concerned about what's going on with Musk and Social Security as well as other agencies. Let me go back and say, understand that Social Security is based on what we've worked and paid into the system. It's not SSI, which is a different program administered by Social Security. Social Security protects not only those who are retired, it also protects those who die young and leave young children behind. There are almost as many children receiving Social Security because of parents who passed away or disabled parents as there are adults receiving Social Security. It also covers people who have a child who was born disabled or became disabled and is never able to work as an adult. Those children receive survivor benefits or
Get his
benefits
ass.
when the parent retires.
Get his ass.
Social Security currently has about a 1% administrative cost. Okay? It looks to me like, looking at this, and I've seen this over the years, staff continues to be reduced. The wait times for people to get service continues to increase. They continue to push people onto the internet to file for benefits. I'm sorry, but Social Security is not necessarily a simple program. There is a benefit to people to come in and talk to someone and understand what their options are before they take that retirement benefit. That's right. Because they will live with that decision for the rest of their lives. I retired from Social Security partially because I was no longer allowed to give the service that I thought people deserved. And I'm proud of my government service. I know it's not popular to be a government employee right now. I'm proud of it too. But I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what I provide. Now to see that Musk is trying to get his little gurus with their little computers into Social Security to access all of our personal information.
That's right.
That is not right. And I don't care if you turn around and tell me, don't worry, it's read only. I've seen your comment before where you said, don't worry about what they're getting at Treasury, it's read only. Why do you think we have paper shredder trucks that come around to get rid of our paper documents? Because read only is still putting our information at risk. But my point is, we're now seeing that we don't want people to call on the phone to change their direct deposit.
Yes!
Go to a local office. Try to get an
See what I mean? These people pay attention to this shit. People care.
appointment at the local office. Right now, you're waiting a month, and we're going to cut more staff. This is not right. If any, and we do not want to see Social Security privatized.
No.
I know for years and years and years, there are companies out there that want to take over and they want to charge. They want to charge to access benefits. You know, they want to charge for that application. So what I want from you is a commitment that you're going to defend Social Security as a government agency. I want your commitment that you are going to try to get better staffing so that it can serve people the way it was intended to do.
I want to hear what he has to say about
You
this.
have that commitment to me, and I have talked to the new administrator in my office. He's up for confirmation in the United States Senate. And I made exactly those same points to you that he made to me, because I see it all the time in my office, people coming to my office to get help. And by the way, I can't even help you as an individual until you sign a privacy release statement for me to get into your account to help you. So obviously, the law protects you and anybody else. And that's, in fact, we recently had a district court decision that said exactly that. But one of the problems is that just before Biden left office, he signed a union contract for people to work from home. Now this new administration's coming in, and they're going to have to be in the office.
Boo!
So they can give that service.
I feel like he did not at all engage with her Social Security question. Like, damn, son.
Let's see. You.
Yeah, I've got two items. Thank you for coming today.
Yes, thank you.
Efficiency and cutting waste in government. I think you'd ask anybody in the country, is there waste in government who'd like it to be addressed? I think we'd say yes.
Yep.
Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to Musk in December highlighting at least 20 areas she thought should be cut. That was the thoughtful, thought-out analysis of how this could be cut. Musk is out there like a 2-year-old with a pile of blocks going, I don't like it, let's do away with it. You know, I'd like to see an adult approach taken, so here's an action item for you to take back, Senator Grassley, is put together a bipartisan committee to look at waste in government. That would include both Democrats and Republicans, and put them to work. So we might assume that's not going to be really fast, but I hope it would be effective. I think what's happening now is ineffective, and it's hurting people.
Yes.
My second item is arresting people and deporting them without due process of law. Germany, and that did not go well. I'd like to see you stop that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I like that she was just like, yeah, that's bad. We shouldn't do that. Full stop. Good day, sir.
I heard you, and I'll go on to the next person.
At the end of the last legislative session...
Good. Talk louder, will you please?
I've kind of got a frog in my throat or whatever this is.
I'll get closer.
But yes, at the end of the last legislative session, you passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which part of that involved the IRS. It was handing out lots and lots of money to government agencies, part of which went to the IRS, which immediately created new rules that would regulate partnerships and how you can claim expenses for partnerships on your taxes. Partnerships are important to us here in Iowa, not because they're big corporations or big businesses, but an awful lot of our small businesses, and particularly our farms, are partnerships. What the IRS has done is create a new unit that is now requiring us to provide the same information we already send into the IRS, but instead of doing it once now, they're asking us to send it to multiple places in the IRS. And if we don't do this right, we can be fined up to $20,000 per error or whatever, what they're claiming is an error. That adds up a lot. Now, if we have a big business that has lots of accountants working for us year-round, that's not a big problem. And yeah, we can look and we can find this fraud like everybody agrees we should be finding. But most of the farmers I know, and we have a small farm in our family, we have enough trouble figuring out how we're going to pay for our seeds, get it in the ground, and get it out without spending our time sending the same information to the IRS 5 or 6 different times. And they're asking us to keep track of every transaction we have of selling partnership property for up to 10 years. Now, that's a lot of bookkeeping, even for a small business like most of our small farms are on those transactions. This is one place we'd like for you to look at and see. We've been rolling back a lot of rules and regulations that were passed under the old administration. We'd like some help here with the IRS. I'm not sure how hiring a large new unit of people just to investigate small businesses is really affecting inflation or reducing inflation. Appreciate your help. Okay. And we appreciate you having the courage to be here and talk to us today. Not a lot of people are doing that.
I mean, I don't know if it's so much courage as it is he wasn't expecting to get booed in the heart of Iowa.
Bringing up the IRS gets me back to the previous question because the lady asked about the Department of Government Efficiency, and one of the things that the Department of Government Efficiency is looking into is upgrading the IRS's IT. It's about 50 years old, and they found that in 1990 Congress said get it updated by 1996, and they're always 5 years behind, and so they're going into the Department of Treasury to try to get it done, and it's still 5 years off. They want to get it done, so after 30 years you would think that we'd have a modern IT system for IRS so people could get answers to the questions more effectively and probably collect a lot of tax money that isn't being collected. The lady sitting right there.
Thank you. I would like to focus on...
Just a minute, please. Just a minute, so I can hear you. Go ahead.
I wonder why that is. Yeah.
Concerns that are being voiced in this room because I think they are the...
Oh, Kalishna, this is Chuck Grassley's town hall in Iowa. And this is in a county that went 40 points to Trump. And it has been nothing but shitting on Chuck Grassley for the entire time.
The root of the problem. You also need to hear these specific recommendations, these specific concerns. And I want to bring one regarding the local food programs that the USDA has been supporting. Local Food Purchasing Assistance, LFPA, and Local Food for Schools. They have been extremely effective. Iowa has been recognized as a national leader. It is helping to address food access issues through food system development. It is encouraging rural economic development. And it was just ruthlessly cut $11.3 million that had been promised for the next 3 years. Farmers have works in place for this season. Livestock farmers have obviously been looking a couple of years down the road.
This was yesterday or the day before at Thistles?
I urge you to take action and reinsert support for LFPA and LFS in the Farm Bill. And I also wish you would take Margaret's suggestion and give her a more direct answer on her recommendation for putting a bipartisan committee together to look at addressing the issues. But first of all, I want you to respond to my urging about LFPA and LFS.
What a you know, that's the real power move. You get to be the next one to ask your question, and you restate the previous one that he refused to answer. You know, that's the real power move in these situations. Did she just say LSF? I think she's talking about like the USAID food programs that buy like farmer produce and then ship them around the world. Like like shuttering USAID absolutely fucked so many people in the Midwest. LFS, yes.
Right. I could probably give you a more definitive answer in 30 days for this reason, that most new presidents going in stop regulation writing, put a hold on a lot of things for about 90 days, and I don't know whether this money is going to be frozen forever or they're just reviewing it, but I can't see a nutrition program being hurt by.
Oh, LFS is Local Food for Schools, and LFPS or LFPA is Local Food Partnership Agreements. I think I might be a bit off on that second one, but like it helps schools get the food they need. It helps communities get the food they need, as well as like the USAID programs. Yeah.
Anything the Department of.
It's happening.
So
the USDA has cut the program, and it is probably among of the different kinds of issues that are being brought in the federal courts that the courts are putting stays on these things. This hasn't been acted on this one in particular that I'm aware of, but it's a pattern. The courts act and they put temporary stays, but that doesn't stop the Trump administration. They continue to say no. So what are our recourses? It comes back to congressional oversight. Sure. All of these things come back to you have responsibility, and oversight has long time been your champion. And again, thank you for hearing, because we are upset, and this conversation is really important.
That's right.
you said I didn't answer your question, so I want to do that.
They're not doing the
Microphone.
job.
I want to avoid it.
Will not stand up.
Microphone.
I would
Thank you.
microphone.
Need the microphone.
What you suggested is something that's sometimes done, but if every committee in the United States Congress is bipartisan, and every committee has a responsibility to do oversight in those areas of the government that are covered by theirs. So in my particular case, that's the FBI, that's the Department of Justice. Another committee I serve on would be HHS, trade legislation, things of that nature. Every committee has a responsibility of doing oversight. I don't think it gets the attention that it should, and that's why I think I have developed such a reputation of being so cognizant on oversight. And I'll give you an example. When the new Attorney General came to my office for pre-session on whether I should vote for her for confirmation, I gave her a packet of about that thick of 158 letters that I had sent to the Department of Justice and or the FBI that had not been answered in the previous administration. And I said, the first thing I want you to do is get me answers to these letters. So there's at least 158 different things that I've written in my oversight responsibility to make sure that the Justice Department does what the law says any president of the United States should do, is faithfully execute the law. That's what I'm I'm saying to you, every committee of Congress is what you're asking us to do.
Well, Senator.
Yeah, he valiantly sent letters that he wrote years ago to the Justice Department.
You voted for Cash Patel?
If that's been operational and we still feel there's waste in government, something needs to be done in addition or otherwise. And so this Department of Government Efficiency, which I don't understand why it can be called a department, but anyway, it's headed by someone with gross conflict of interest.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Tremendous billion-dollar government contracts, saving waste in the government. It seems inappropriate, but it's clearly not bipartisan.
That's right.
To
check that, not Doge.
Thanks for coming, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out is Trump continues to ignore court orders. And nothing happens. And I can tell you what would happen to many of us.
That's right.
I don't understand if you say you're not above the law. I say yes.
That's right.
It's gone too far when the Constitution.
Nobody's above the law.
Prove it!
Prove it! Hard, I should know you. I'll bet your arm's worn out.
Well, we actually kind of know each other. You tried to recruit me in the late 70s at UNI to help you with your campaigns. You were just starting, and I said, you said, what are you? I said, I don't know, Democrat, Republican. You know, I said, I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm still kind of a I don't know until I've seen what's happened in our country since Trump has even taken office. But what I want to do is I want to tell you that I went in and read your record because I have always looked up to you. I'm a teacher. I was born in Northwest Iowa. That's where I came from right now because I moved back home. But I taught for 35 years, okay, for Watsy Valley, if you know where that's at.
Yeah.
They beat Dyke larger too often.
Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I went through and read your record, and I was always so proud of you. I mean, I know I was basically Democrat, but you stood up for me. And I always felt that you were the one who would say, tell them like it is. And I thought, okay, what was your oath to office? And
Dog, I'm flabbergasted by this. I'm flabbergasted, like literal lifelong supporter of this person, of this politician. And she's like, but now we got a problem. This man has been in office for 66 years. That's probably longer than she's been able to vote. And like, she's supported him. And now she's turning out to the town halls. You know? Now she's turning out to the town halls. Something has changed. Something's moving in this country. I can feel a shift in the wind. Let's fucking go.
do you know it? Because I would like to read it. Because when you took that oath, Senator Grassley, you took it for me. You promised me these things. Do you know the oath, buddy?
Not by heart, no.
But I want to tell you before I thank you for sticking up for us years before. We're not getting that.
That's right.
All right, here's the oath, because I want you to consider this, because this is what I feel it's all about. We can talk about any issue, but if we don't have a democracy, and it's going down the tubes.
Yep.
You said that do you want me to do it? No. I, Chuck Grassley. No. I, Chuck Grassley, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution.
You're not doing
of the
that.
United States. And against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, and I know what this one, I think you got a problem with Russia. Infiltrating. From everything I'm seeing, I'm just saying, I'm not a conspiracy theory. I don't like to even hear a conspiracy theory. But then you went on to say, that I will bear the faith and allegiance to the same. Meaning that you're going to support that Constitution, the law inside of that, which would protect me. And Senator Grassley, I'm 70. And I am more scared today than I've ever been.
That's right.
My mom is 74 years old. She literally said the same thing to me. She's more scared now than she has ever been in America. And like, I think this is a not uncommon feeling for people in that in this particular generation. Like, go girl, get his ass.
And I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not, the man has divided us.
That's
and
right.
he's taken someone like you that I've looked up to all my life. You don't speak for us.
Nope.
Do not say don't do this. Like, you should have known about this Iowa bill where they took food from our kids, from the farmers that promised it to.
Quit punching down.
But anyway, Senator Grassley, please read that again. Please read it because it finally ends with, after it says, I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of which I'm about to enter. So help me, God. And I think the president's is different. That's the only one that's different. But please, can we have you back? Can we have you supporting all Iowans? I'm an independent, but no more Republicans.
Gonna get that job.
A lot of us are getting that way.
Yeah.
It's all Fox News. And I'm sorry, I know all about propaganda. I taught it. That is the most propagandist channel ever. The methods they use, I could tell you, I could break it apart. They take a good word and they make it bad. Or Trump takes a bad word and suddenly the disruption we're having in Washington, D.C. is he calls flexibility. I was a teacher, I'll tell you about what flexibility is. And it certainly isn't this. And he calls liberals, which means liberty. Right? Comes from the base word liberty. Laws. They make us sound awful. And why would anyone want to be a liberal? You're protecting the Constitution and everyone else's rights, correct? Then they call us woke, which is what Christ taught me to be. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want to bring religion in, because I believe there's really a definition between separation of church and state. But woke is also such a great word. It's looking for you out for your brothers. Why are you why do you even get interviewed on
Damn, she woke splaining him.
I when I saw you on there one day.
Don't do that.
Sorry.
I've got time for 2 more questions.
Behind you. Okay, can you have
Yes, you.
I want to go back to education a little bit.
Yes, please do.
You had said that special ed students were not going to be harmed.
Ooh, get his ass.
There are 17 states, including Iowa, with the attorney general that you mentioned, filing a lawsuit right now to get rid of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which would end protections for students on IEPs and 504 plans.
Yep.
I, as a teacher and a mother of a student who will be on a 504 next year when she enters kindergarten, am very scared and nervous about that.
Me too.
I am scared.
So what are you going to do to protect those students?
Describe 504 for me, please.
So my daughter will be on a 504. She has nystagmus and has already had 2 eye surgeries, and she's only 5. she does this like head tilt thing, so the 504 would give her preferential seating and the ability to have larger font books to be able to learn to read.
And is there there's a case going on being filed?
There's a lawsuit, including Iowa, being filed to enforce protections because of this one statement in there that says something about transgender. Well, they want to call the whole thing unconstitutional.
Okay. Well, first of all, whatever.
Like, imagine how, like, this is how deep, right, the Republican brain rot goes. That so many people in the Republican Party have been indoctrinated to hate trans people so much, that they are willing to throw disabled people, their disabled children, their school services, their own protections under the bus with us just so that we hurt more. I don't get it. I don't get that kind of hatred. I don't get it. It makes me so sad and so angry.
Your background is by race, by religion, by sex orientation, by nationality, all those things have to be respected as an individual.
Not in this.
Not here.
You have to respect them as individuals. Okay.
Law says you don't.
Then is this being done under state law, which I won't comment on, or is it being done under federal law? Federal? Okay. Well then, if you're worried about the IDEA law being enforced, if it's the one for special education, I voted for that in 1976. I stand by it. I'm the father of the area education agencies that passed the Iowa legislature. My last year there in 1974, and so I support making sure that in my lexicon we use the word mainstreaming. Students should be mainstreamed. They should not be segregated.
Well,
that's where I'm coming from.
That's been done for years.
Can you wait and repeat that when everybody else is quiet?
What are you going to do when this
Well, I can't.
this law is being called unconstitutional?
As we've talked about here, there's three branches of government. If this is in the courts, that's where it's going to have to be decided.
Well, they're not doing
Okay.
it.
But you don't get it, do you? What, you do not get it?
No,
See, you haven't asked a question.
Time to resign.
Mr. Senator, my name is Kyla. I'd like to introduce myself. Thank you for your service. You have served 66 years, I believe it is. I'm 55. I know it's 44 in DC. My question is, I represent the L of the LGBTQIA community, and we are scared. Yep. Our state is stripping
Bless her.
rights away from individuals. And Mr. President that we have would like to take rights away from us. How are you going to protect my marriage to my wife that should not impact any of you? Anybody's religion is, my marriage does not impact your religion. My marriage does not impact your life. I would like to know from you how you are going to protect Iowans and people in the United States from having their rights stripped away because we happen to be a marginalized community called the LGBTQIA community. How are you going to stand up and protect us so that we don't feel like we are going to be
hunted for sport.
Need to leave the country, going to be jailed because of who we are, going to lose our jobs, going to lose our homes, have children taken away. Our rights are under fire right now, and please, I'm begging you to tell me how you are going to protect me as your constituent from these atrocities that are coming towards us.
That's right.
I am afraid of what's happening.
Good for
and
her.
I don't want to live in fear. I'm 55 years old. I respected you tremendously when I was younger. I met with you individually in your office when I was student ambassador getting ready to go to Europe. I went to East Germany when we still had 2 Germanys. I met with you before that, and I was very impressed. Right now, if I had that opportunity again, I don't know how impressed I would be if somebody told me I could meet with you individually.
Devastating.
Because you were voted in to represent me and everyone else in this room.
Not Trump.
And I want to know how you're going to protect me and not
Trump.
and not be embarrassed by what's happening.
First, you need to know that some of the best staff people I've had have been people that come from your background.
Thank you.
You said have.
Do you still have members of the LGBT?
And more than one. And in regard to your marriage, the Constitution, under the Supreme Court decision, protects you. And the only way that can be changed, since it's a constitutional decision and not an interpretation of a statute, you'd have to amend the Constitution, and you're not going to get.
Well, wait. Well, you could overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. You don't have to amend the Constitution. You just have to get another case in front of the Supreme Court and have them overturn it.
2/3 vote to do it. In fact, I'll bet you won't even have a proposal before the United States Congress of overturning that Supreme Court decision. Thank you all very much for being here.
Yo! Yo!
Tax the rich! 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 Tax the rich!
Sick of hearing about their fair share. How about they just pay any?
That was incredible. He literally ended it by saying, I've had some very good gay workers. Anyway, peace. He literally did like that meme of like the kid that like does the peace sign and then just disappears. He literally did that. And then left to yells of tax the rich. That was 10 out of 10. Yeah, just fades. It's Poochie. I have to.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Oh, yeah, it's done. God, guys. I don't know about you, but like watching these makes me feel like it's gonna be okay. You know? Like watching this is like, you know, we can mobilize. Like people are already doing it in the heart of red Iowa. If they can do it there, you guys can do it wherever you are. And this country is a big place, and it's really easy to feel isolated in our current day and age, but god damn it, it's always worth remembering that there are people fighting shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm alongside you. We are not alone. We are not helpless. If your elected representative is not doing a town hall, you go and do your own town hall. You make it happen. You make a town hall. You have an empty seat town hall, and then you tell stories with one another. Question 1, how will you protect the Constitution? Next question, question 2, how will you protect gay rights? It's in the Constitution. Bye. Oh, God. Yes, there are a lot of different protest orgs coordinating for an April 5th protest. Folks, get it on your calendar. Start planning. Because there needs to be mass action. And, you know, April 5th might not be like the biggest turnout. Just prepare yourself. Like, maybe we're not going to get record turnout on April 5th. But it is a stepping stone to get us to bigger and bigger and bigger mass mobilization events. Because, guys, we are just getting started. We're 2 months in. We are 2 months in. And we're already seeing Chuck Grassley at 91 years old go into his, relatively musty seat of power where he's not been challenged for like 60 goddamn years. And they're yelling at him. They're chanting. They're aroused.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
It's true. If they can do it, so can you.